everyone, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about asynchronous callbacks for updating your Elasticsearch data store with data from your database. So since Elasticsearch is a separate data store, that means that when you update records in your database, you need to keep that data store up to date as well. So everything needs to be synced up. Now, Elasticsearch Rails gem provides you with a means to do that right out of the box. But the way that it does it is it takes up it does it inline in the process. So for example, if you do an update in your record in your database using Active Record, then it also automatically updates the record in Elasticsearch for you. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to head over to my terminal over here. Let me close out this thing here and start the Rails console. So what I'm going to do here is load up a movie from the database. And what I'm going to do is update the name. So right now the name of this movie is called Frozen. And if I head over to here and I do a search for Frozen, you'll see that it shows up over here. Now let me change the name to something like this. Movie.save. Now this is actually updating the record in Elasticsearch like right over here in line. So imagine, updating your record in your controller. So basically, if you have, lots of updates and lots of creates in your model, then it's going to, access the Elasticsearch instance. And that's all fine and good when your Elasticsearch instance is running in localhost where it's the same machine. There's barely any latency. But if you're running your Elasticsearch service, as a network service, a RESTful service running on a separate host, there might be slight delays over there. And 5 milliseconds here and 10 milliseconds there can add up. So the solution to this is not to do it in line in the web process, but rather do it in a separate background process. Now, when we talk about background jobs, then we need to start taking a look at, Sidekick, or if you want to use Rescue, you can do that too. But in this case, we're going to be using Sidekick, and we're also going to be using Active Job, the new feature that came in Rails 4.2. All right, so here it is, the configuration. This is how you set up and install Sidekick. You guys can Google, Active Job, and you'll learn a lot more about that in those tutorials. In this video, we're not going to be focusing on Active Job. We're just going to use Active Job to update our Elasticsearch data store. All right, let's take a look at our model. So this line here is the line that comes with Elasticsearch model gem, which is a dependency of the Elasticsearch Rails gem. And basically, this is the line that does all the callbacks for you. So basically, when you update your record and it will re-index that record in your Elasticsearch for you. Okay, so down here, I have the implementation that makes it all work. So I'm going to uncomment these and basically comment this guy out over here. And so we're not going to use the one that comes with the Elasticsearch gem anymore. We're going to implement our own. And so let me walk you through this whole process. So we're using the after commit callback from Active Record, and we're going to basically re-index our document on create and update. And after we destroy our record, then we're going to delete our document. And basically these are the methods, the instance methods that does that job. So let's take a look at the job file over here. So we're adding the queue as Elasticsearch, and then we have the perform method. The perform method takes two arguments, right? One is operation and one is a record ID. And in this case, that's why we have this index here. So, we want to re-index, so we use index. We want to delete, so we use delete. Then basically the send method over here then just, calls these methods down here. So if we have the record in the database, we can just use the Elasticsearch API and just index document. However, if we're going to delete a record, it's going to disappear. Now, what that means is we cannot use, we can't access the instance of the, like the way we're doing here. Here, we're just loading the record as an object, and then we're accessing the instance method of the Elasticsearch API. But we can't do that because in this case, we're assuming that the record has disappeared. So we're going to do it directly through the client. So what this is here is like the class method of Elasticsearch API, and we're accessing the client directly. And then what we're doing is calling the delete method of the client, and then we have to pass in we have to pass in the index name that we're using. And by default, Elasticsearch will set the index name for us. And here the type is going to be the model name. So basically this will give us movies by default, and this will give us movie, right? So these are the expected arguments of the delete method that comes with the Elasticsearch API. And here we're just passing in the record ID that we get over here instead of using it to find the record in active record, since we don't have that record anymore, since we're going to delete it, right? So we just pass the record ID directly into here, and then Elasticsearch simply just deletes it. All right, let's try this out. So I'm going to save this file. Another note is that in here we're configuring Sidekick to not retry any job. So if it fails, it just fails. It doesn't retry it. You don't need to do this. All right, so let's try it out. I'm going to head over to my terminal. I'm going to exit. And in here, I'm going to start my Elasticsearch, the Sidekick background worker. So what I'm going to do here is start the console, and I'm going to load up the movie. So here we have it named Frozen, and so I'm going to name it back. So movie.name equals Frozen. So actually, let me show you first that, if I do Frozen now, it's gone because, it was already updated. So if I do Frozen, it'll show up. So I'm going to change this back to Frozen, movie.save. And you'll see that now it's delegated the indexing job to the background process. And you'll see over here that it's done the indexing job for us. Great. So let's head back over here and see that we have now updated our index. Great. So let's try the delete job, the delete document job. So I'm going to do movie.delete document. And there it goes. So now if I do a search for Frozen, it should disappear. That's great. All right, so everything is working as expected. So let me talk a little bit more about these methods over here. So these methods can be really useful because if you have a record, you may not always want to just when you delete the record, right? So you can call these methods anytime you want. So for example, if you want to publish or unpublish, records from your Elasticsearch data store. So for example, you have states where, certain documents are published, certain records in your database are published, so you want to index them, and certain records are unpublished, so you want to delete them. So you can use these methods. They're very, very useful. All right, guys, that covers it for this episode. I hope you guys found this useful, and don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe and share the video with your friends and family, and I will see you guys in the next one.